So today's project is going to be to insulate these batteries. So my plan for this outdoor well house was really to create protection for the inverter, the batteries, and so forth, as well as to allow myself access in here when we have 4 feet of snow. If you've seen my other videos, you know it's just kind of an open structure right here, and that's going to allow me to access in here and kind of create, an opening when the snow is even a couple feet above the level that I'm standing on right now. One thing I overlooked, and as my plans while I was building this changed a bit, is insulating these batteries. So right now they're fixed in place, they're secure, all that, but they're not insulated from the cold, and it is going to be below freezing, especially at nighttime for the next several months out here. We're at about 3,200 feet in the Cascade Mountains at this property. So for the next steps, I'm going to be taking apart my little mount bracket here and utilizing this insulated board. I don't know what these are called. This is just like closed cell foam insulation sheets, and essentially building an insulation box out of this material. I also bought 2 small, they're basically heat pads that are 25 watts each. If we do the math on them, those should last several days without any additional charge on these batteries, because the batteries are going to be powering those heat pads, and the goal is going to be to keep, have a heat source and keep the batteries warm. So basically what I'm going to do is build a little insulation box they're going to sit on. The pads will go under them. Those heat pads will get installed and attached to the batteries themselves, and we'll have an insulated box with a small heat source inside, with the goal of not allowing these batteries to reach below freezing. So these are the heating pads that I purchased. They are 12 volts, 25 watts. I don't have a lot of other information. That seemed like a appropriate wattage to keep things warm, but not take too large of a draw. I did the math on it, and I believe we could go as much as 3 or 4 days with no charge on the batteries, but between our solar and our wind, we should never go a day with 0 charge. These I'm just going to hardwire to the batteries, so they're just going to continuously draw from that. And I'm going to be building the insulation box out of this. Let's see, it's a project panel. I don't know what this material is. I'm going to be building the insulation box out of these insulated panels, basically scoring them with an X-Acto knife and breaking them into the proper size pieces, and just building a box out of fasteners and using a gap filler as almost a glue for the actual panels to each other. Pro tip, anytime you're dealing with wiring, it's nice to take a picture of the actual installation ahead of time, so you know exactly how it's wired and configured. Obviously I could figure out how it goes, but it speeds things up. It makes them easier, and one less thing to think about to just take a photo before you dismantle, so you know exactly how to put it together. So it's slightly rough around the edges in a literal sense, but it will definitely do its purpose. Right now it's just held together with a couple screws and literally nails, because they're just easy to push right into the foam. But I'm going to use a insulation spray, stuff you see at your big box stores, and I'm going to use that as a way to fill in all the gaps, but also kind of glue itself together and become one happy little box. All right, so now we've got our heating pads in there. We've got our spray foam insulation filling in the cracks and acting a little bit like a glue. So the last step will just be to put our batteries in, hook everything back up, and put the lid on top. And there we have it. Heat pads in the bottom. The only last step is going to be to put the top on. Our charge controller is working. Let's check our inverter. It powers on, which then gives power to the CPU for the pump. And we're in good shape. Just got to put the lid on And hopefully that'll take care of our batteries not freezing up here in the very cold mountain climate. Stay tuned for more off-grid living off the land, being self-reliant. And if there's any recommendations or things you would have done differently, feel free to comment. Definitely subscribe and follow. And there we have it. Our little insulated battery box. Hopefully gonna do a lot to protect those batteries and have a nice healthy battery bank for years to come.